Okay, now we go to chapter 2 of this repertoire book by 1E4 for white. Okay, in chapter 2 we see the Sicilian Defence, and here the author suggested the following thing. E4, C5 is the Sicilian. Then you have knight f3, so he's advocating the open Sicilian, and then he says, if black plays d6, you play bishop b5, okay, giving a check, entering the Moscow variation. If plays knight c6, you play bishop b5, entering the Rossolimo. And then, of course, there are different moves by pawn, which could be e6 or g6 or a6, that is a kind of Najdorf. In that case, you play c3. Okay? So let's see how it works in a real game. Here we have a game 10, Ivanchuk against Kasparov, in Linares 1991, so at the top of Kasparov, okay? E4, C5, knight f3, d6, bishop b5, check. And here the author writes, let's go with the Moscow variation, comrade. Knight d7. This is black's most combative line, playing either to gain a tempo with a6 or pick up the bishop pair if white trades on d7. Next game we look at bishop d7 or knight c6, which transposes into the Rossolimo, okay? So this is why I like Lakdawala's book, because it gives you a game, example game for each line, more or less, and that helps you understand if this is the thing you like to play. D4. So this is not a total open Sicilian, okay? Also if it looks like. And of course, Lakdawala covers some other lines, like here in this game was played knight f6, but he covers in one of his games it was played c takes d4. Okay, I am not gonna show you this line because it's kind of long, but of course I just this is a kind of book review, so what I'm trying to show you is some of the content of the book to let you see if you like it or not. Okay, knight f6, castle. And so, as you can see, this is why you need to pick up a book like this, because the author is challenging you. But can you imagine? He's showing you a game in which the #1 player in the world, Kasparov, is given a pawn. That's kind of funny, right? Because he's offering this pawn for developing. Imagine that, it doesn't make any sense, right? So I really want to see what happens. Sorry guys. C takes d4, but I can put it here. Well, yeah. Let's see, c takes d4, queen takes d4. So, by the way, it shows that grabbing the pawn wasn't a good idea. And strangely, there is a game by Alexeyev against Irina Krush, that is a famous American grandmaster. She's probably Russian in origin, but she lives in US. I remember she lives in US. So it's kind of interesting because there was a game where black took. Okay, a6. Let's see what happens. Bishop takes d7. Bishop takes d7. And bishop g5. And here we have a diagram. Here there are obviously a couple of possibilities. For example, e6, and the author covers it with a game by Bok against Wojciech in a World Rapid Championship. Very interesting. So since there is a game, let's watch it, okay? I know that it can become a long video, but let's watch it. So let's watch e6 very fast, right? Just to see what happens. Knight bd2, bishop c6, knight c4, b5. Wow, knight b6, preparing a piece sacrifice. Rook b8. Okay, so if this was played in a World Rapid Championship, it means white prepare that line with a computer probably. So keep in mind that we are at move 11, so who knows how long. Oh, knight d5, e takes d5, e takes d5, and the king is in the center. So let's see what happens. Bishop b7, rook fe1. Wow, king d7 is starting to escape. a4. Now the author says you need to open the game once you have this kind of development advantage. And so, as you can see, is teaching you also some middle game principles. Bishop e7, a takes b, a takes b, queen d3, attacking, queen c7, knight d4, queen c4, queen h3, and this is a dubious move, okay? The computer says that it was better to play queen f5, which would give white a winning advantage, and here there is a line that proves it. So queen h3, not so good. King d8, knight f5, so that's why he played queen h3, because he was thinking to move his knight there. Rook e8, knight takes g7, rook g8. It seems that here black should have played knight e4 to save the day, but he didn't. And now try to pause the video and guess what you would play as white, because it's a great move. Rook takes e7, king takes e7. Let's see what happens. Bishop takes f6, king takes f6, queen h6, king e5, rook e1, king takes d5, rook d1, queen d4, queen g5, king c4, b3, king c3, and the queen g3. And here black decided to give up. Why black is giving up? Because obviously if he takes here, take the queen. If you go here, take the queen. If you go here, take the queen, take the queen, take the queen. So he loses the queen and he loses the game. Again, it's also a rapid game, so probably in some cases this kind of rapid players or blitz players today are able to win in bullet. So that's it. Let me go back to the position. So this was the position after the move 8 by white, bishop g5. We saw a game with e6. Now we see the game played by Kasparov with h6. Okay? Bishop takes, and notice this is interesting in the Sicilian that you play this g takes f6. Okay? This is kind of interesting because generally you would like to castle there, but in this case I don't know if it's gonna happen. And I didn't see the game before showing it on the board because I want to keep my reactions as natural as possible as a chess player that sees the game for the fourth time. e6. However, this kind of formation is really strong. So the king is safe in the center. Knight c3, rook c8, king h1. This is interesting because why is putting the king in h1? Because he's probably afraid of something that happens on this diagonal, or because he wants to push this pawn. So that's, if someone plays this, you need to start to ask yourself why. h5, a4, suppressing obviously a possible b5, h4, h3, preventing too much advance. Obviously you don't want to allow this pawn to go here, okay? Bishop e7, b4, a5. And here black is clearly trying to create a hole in c5, okay? Yeah. b5, queen c7. You see, it's happening. It clearly it starts to make sense that he move the king away from there. Okay, let's see where we were. b5, queen c7, knight d2, queen c5, and queen d3. So here the author writes, black's biggest future problem is this king, which has no complete safe haven. So Ivanchuk retains the queens on the board because he wants to attack. Okay, so let's see what happens after queen d3. Rook g8, attacking. Rook a e1, preparing to attack there. Queen g5, ding ding ding. It soon becomes clear that black's attack is fake, the fake facade of a movie set. Yeah, it doesn't seem really well prepared. You generally should need this bishop here and then try to open the things to create an attack. This doesn't seem good. Rook g1. So Ivanchuk easily defends g2 and asks Kasparov, now what? It turns out that black has no useful plan. Bishop f4. Sorry, not bishop f4, queen f4. You know why I said bishop? Because I already thought of this possible idea. So that's why. Rook e f1. Simply protecting f2, after which white can drive the black queen away with knight e2 and push his own f-pawn. b6. It seems that there could have been a desperate attempt to open this. Let's see what does it say. But it seems that it would favor white because the black king is kind of exposed after. So yes, the idea of d5 was a possible idea. Knight e2, queen h6. So here, and this is the nice thing of Lakdawala's book, that they are also in a sense like the move by move series by Everyman Chess. Here there is an exercise planning. white has a choice of two powerful plans. Find one of them. So the author is challenging you, right, to find a plan in this position. So you should try to pause the video and try to create a plan. So there are two possible answers. One is a clearance sacrifice the c pawn in order to make way for knight c4. So this and knight c4. The other is the straightforward f4. Okay, so we have two possible plans. Which one did Ivanchuk choose? Ivanchuk chose c5. So why this? Because he wants to make space. So as you can see, at a certain point in chess, it's important to know which squares you want, because a square sometimes is more important than a pawn. Rook takes c5. Notice that the author has analyzed b takes c5, d takes c5, that you should calculate, however, when you are in a real game. Knight c4, king f8, and knight takes b6. So this is a kind of problem for black, because once lost that pawn, you must start to think about this being pushed, right? And it's only 1, 2, 3 squares away. So bishop e8, f4, intending obviously to play f5. Okay, and notice this is a very strange example, right? A very strange game and example in which the knights are able to dominate the bishops. Generally the bishops are very, very powerful. In this case they are worthless. Okay, so let's see what happens. f5, e takes f5, rook takes f5, rook c1, and king g7. The king is escaping. If he could, probably he would like to go here, but unfortunately there is a border he cannot cross. g4, great move obviously. Just when black might have hoped to attack, a dark force awakens, and white announces that he is the one who does so. However, in this case also this move would have been very strong, because obviously opened the path for the pawn to get promoted. Rook c5. Now ask yourself, if black would have played this, what would have happened? Okay, remember that there is this queen too, so it's a danger. But okay, rook c5, rook takes c5, d takes c5, knight c8, bishop f8. Now, how can white force the win of material? If you were white, how would you force that? And the move is queen d8. Why? Because there is a trap piece, right? Queen g6, this is the problem. f5, keeping the queen out of the square e4. Queen h6, g5, queen h5, and rook g4. Again, as you can see, black is trying to give a check to enter with the queen, white continue to stop that queen from going anywhere, right? E takes f5, knight f4, queen h8. As you can see, it starts to look a little crowded there. It seems like a dictator in a bunker before the end of a war. Queen f6, check. King h7, and of course the game ends up with rook takes h4. Okay, and the black king is gone and done. So we saw a great game with knight d7 in the Sicilian. Here there are many more games to see, but again I want to show you guys other game with a chapter on the French defense because so you can see if you're interested or not in this repertoire by Lakdawala with e4. To me it seems very easy to learn repertoire. Keep in mind that these books have a very good thing, that is the index of variations, so you have an idea to look also for yourself if you want to look some games in these lines. And of course there is also a page or 2 pages with the index of complete games, which means all the players, so you have an idea also of the players that generally play this kind of openings. Okay, I hope you will enjoy and learn from this book.